Hold on. My bad, bro. Hold on one sec. Because my finger slipped while I pressed the record button, so it kind of like, I gotta check. But the DualSense PS5 DualSense Edge versus Scuff Pro controller. I might be getting that DualSense Edge
Thank you to
controller
Squarespace for
in a
sponsoring this
little
week's
bit.
video. Hello everyone,
Probably
it's
in a few
SpawnPoint,
days.
and today
Let's
we're going
see.
to be talking about Pro controllers for the PS5. We've got the new DualSense Edge, which is PlayStation's official
Let's see.
Pro controller that launched last week. And we have the Scuff Reflex, which is probably one of the most popular Pro controllers out
Really?
there. But the question
Never
is,
played
which
it.
is better?
Never used
Now,
it.
the starting price of both of these are around £200 or
Really?
$200, which is a lot of money for a controller. But today I'm going to talk about the difference.
The only reason I'm getting this controller is because I could take out the joysticks, bro. If I could not take out the joysticks, because I basically gotta spend $60 every like 6 months or so just for a new controller. When I could I guess spend 20 for like stick drift shit,
Features,
or however
pros,
much it's gonna cost.
And which one I would recommend picking up. Now obviously these are my own opinions, but let me know which one you think is better out of the two. So the DualSense Edge looks like a beefed up version of the normal DualSense controller. It's got the same black and white theme going on, but with some differences in the detail. So things like the touchpad and buttons are now black instead of white. Oh, and the bottom part is now glossy instead of matte, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. But I do like the tiny icons that are now embedded into the touchpad.
That is cool.
Then there's the Scuff, which again looks like a normal DualSense controller in terms of the overall shape. But the key difference here is you can have any color combo that you'd like.
Oh, wow.
So I've gone for an all grey theme, but you
Ooh,
can
I like that
customize it
rainbow.
however
I
you
like
would
that
like it to
rainbow.
look, changing the colors of pretty much every part, something that you cannot do with the Edge controller, well yet anyway.
Yeah.
But one feature the Scuff does lack are the PlayStation icons and branding. So there's no PS icon in the middle and no shape icons on the buttons. This to me makes it look and feel like a cheap copy by comparison. The Scuff looks modded, whereas the Edge looks OEM, but I assume this is down to copyright restrictions, which is why we're not seeing those icons.
Probably
Then
true.
there's the weight and the feel of the two. In my hand, the Edge definitely feels more premium in terms of the weight and the build quality. The Scuff feels lighter and cheaper by comparison. So if I had to pick one based on the overall look and feel, I would probably pick the Edge. Although I'd really like to swap this glossy part out for matte instead.
Yeah, I do like
Now,
that a
one
lot
of the
too.
biggest features that we've seen added to the DualSense Edge are the new adjustable triggers. These are quite literally a game changer for many games that you'll play. But how do they compare to the Scuff? Well, by default, the Edge triggers work in the same way as a normal DualSense, so they are adaptive and will work on most PS5 optimized games. But it also has this little button on the back that lets you swap between normal and two shorter trigger stops. This means when you want to play an FPS game like Call of Duty or Warzone, you can get a really fast trigger response as the triggers will only travel about 30% of the distance.
That's low-key
But then if you want to
cheating.
play a racing game like GT7 or something like God of War Ragnarok, you can still make most of the full adaptive triggers by flicking the button back again. Then there's the Scuff. Now when you buy one of these, you can choose between two different options, either the normal triggers, which are adaptive, or FPS triggers, which are instant mouse-like triggers. But once you've made that choice, there is no changing it from that moment forward. So
Yeah.
the one that I have here does have the FPS triggers, which is night and day difference when comparing it to the Edge, even on the shortest setting. These are crazy fast with almost no travel at all when pulling it. I mean, the Edge is good, but you just cannot compete with this. But the problem is, if you were wanting a Pro controller like this and wanted to use it for more than just FPS games, these instant triggers are not much use for other games. Like in racing games, as soon as you touch the trigger, it's like a full throttle or full-on braking. There's no gradual curve with these instant triggers. So although the Scuff FPS is definitely better for Call of Duty, I still think the Edge is the better all-rounder if you're using it for more than just FPS games. Right, then we have the rear buttons or paddles.
I know you can change
now, both
those
of these
in the back.
controllers come with these, and they both will let you map any other button on the controller to these instead. So things like jumping, crouching, or marking up enemies can all be mapped here.
I know
This
if
makes
I'll change
playing
those.
almost any game at all easier, as you're not needing to remove your thumb from the sticks to tap another button. So in God of War, for example, I've mapped the circle button so I can interact with items as I play.
Oh, wow.
Now the key differences between these two is the fact that the Edge comes with just 2 rear buttons, while the Scuff comes with 4 paddles. Now this of course is a personal preference, as I know people that use both 2 and 4 paddles on their Scuff, so the limitation of 2 on the Edge won't be an issue for everyone.
I mean,
It's
we
still
could.
worth
There's also
mentioning.
changing.
And then quality wise of these rear paddles, well the Edge
Yeah,
buttons are
it
metal,
does.
whereas the Scuff are plastic and feel kind of cheap by comparison. But the positioning of both and how you press them and how they feel feels natural enough and easy to use. You really cannot go wrong with either of these rear buttons. And if you did decide you wanted to play with just 2 or even no paddles at all, they can all be removed really easily. The Edge pull away while the Scuff slide down and pull out. And talking about the overall feel and how comfortable they are, well, they both have different grips available. So the Edge comes with a slightly, and I mean slightly, improved grip over the standard DualSense controller. It feels more rubbery than plastic, but feels nice to hold. On the Scuff though, if you choose the £20 grip option, you get this high performance rubbery grip. And this thing feels crazy grippy. It might not look as nice as the Edge, but it feels awesome for those sessions where you might need that extra grip. But as mentioned, this does cost an extra £20.
Damn.
Another big feature for both of these controllers are the customization you can make to the thumbsticks. So the Scuff comes with a spare set of sticks you can swap out the height on each side. All you need to do is remove the bottom part and pull the thumbsticks out, and they will pull right off. From here you can refit another shape or size. These feel quite cheap, but they are easy enough to swap over. Then there's the Edge, and this is on a whole different level when it comes to customizing these sticks. So again, it does come with different caps that can be replaced. There's the default ones and another 2 sets of different heights.
I like the default ones because they got the little
fascia to be removed. You just pull on each stick and they will pop off. Then you line them up and you can push the new ones back on, so that's really easy. But that's not the most impressive part, it's the fact that the entire module can be replaced. So we all know that stick drift is a thing.
Yes.
I've not personally suffered from it on my PlayStation 5, but I have on my Switch, so I know what it's like. Well, on the Edge controller, I
have on my PlayStation 5, 4, maybe even 3, my PC. No,
you need to remove the fascia, lift this little lever, and you can now swap the entire module for about £20. This is a huge advantage, as you don't need to worry about buying a whole new controller for such a small issue. Plus, both modules can be interchanged. Whereas on the Scuff, if you get stick drift, well, you'll need to find a way of repairing it, or result to buying a whole new controller, which obviously isn't cheap. Now, when it comes to customizing the button layouts and other features of the controllers, this is another area that sets the two apart. The Scuff will allow you to map any of the rear paddles to any button on the controller. So as mentioned, you could have jump, crouch, or even the trigger button mapped to the back. Then when you tap the paddle, it will act like that mapped button. To save these, you need to use the physical profile button on the back. By tapping through, it will show 3 different colors. We've got red, green, and blue. Each of these are a different profile on the controller. To map a new button, you just need to press and hold the button until it flashes. Then you can press the paddle and the button you wish to remap at the same time. Then press the profile button again and it will save it to that profile. That's as far as the customization goes, but it's pretty simple to do. Then swapping the profiles is a case of tapping through the 3 different colors. On the DualSense Edge though is on a whole different level. Not only can these 2 rear buttons be mapped, you can also fully customize the entire controller's behavior. So firstly, you will have noticed these little buttons sticking out at the bottom. Well, these are the function buttons. Press this and the options button together and it takes you to the settings area. From here you can edit the rear buttons. You can also swap out every other button on the controller. So you could swap the circle and the square, or the R1 and the L1, or you could disable the touchpad and the PlayStation buttons from working entirely. All of these changes are then saved to the profile that you create, which can be switched to within a couple of seconds. All you do is press the function button and it will display this little pop-up on the PS5. And this shows you 3 different profiles that you have saved, but you can create up to 30 profiles on the PS5. Crazy. And then tapping the icon will swap between the different profiles on screen. And it will even show a 1, 2, 3 or 4 LEDs on the touchpad, so you know which one is currently selected. But it's not just the button layouts that you can customize here. You can change the stick sensitivity, curvature and dead zones, so you have full control over how each stick behaves. You can even adjust the trigger dead zones and turn the adaptive triggers off entirely. So from a profile switching and customization point of view, the Edge controller is without doubt the better choice here. The Scuff doesn't even come close. But now it's also worth talking about the battery. So my Scuff will see around 10 hours of use before needing a charge, whereas the Edge I'm seeing roughly 8 hours. Now this will differ from game to game and what buttons you've got mapped and the options that you're using, but the Edge is definitely worse than the normal DualSense controller, at least from my experience so far. But charging them is easy enough. They both come with a braided USB-C cable. The Scuff is 1.8 meters, while the Edge is 2.8 meters long.
Mine's always on
charge. There's not much in it, but I guess if you're playing from the sofa, the longer cable will come in handy. And as you would expect, the Edge controller does work on the official charging dock. So if you're using one of these, well, it slots in with no issues. Now the Scuff does technically fit, but it's not quite as smooth. It often needs a few wiggles back and forth to actually get it to fit, but it will eventually slot in if you're patient. As for the packaging of both, well, they both come with a carry case inside that you can use to store the controller when it's not in use. The Scuff is fabric and pretty small, not much space inside to store anything other than the controller, whereas the Edge carry case has enough room for all of the accessories that are included in the box. Plus it feels more premium and it's a hard plastic case. So with everything that we've covered today, how much do they both cost? Well, the DualSense Edge is £210 or $200, and it's currently only available on PlayStation's own website, while the Scuff is a little more complicated. The starting price is £200 or $200, so that's the same as the Edge, but that doesn't include the instant triggers, the performance grip, or the different colours and design. If you want the instant triggers for FPS gaming, it will cost another £40,
Damn.
and the grip is £20. If you want to change the colours or remove the rumbles, well, it'll cost you a little more again. Fully specced out with everything ticked, it will cost you about £360. The one that I have here is about £295 with the triggers, grip, and a few colour changes. So out of these two PS5 Pro controllers, which is best? Well, if I was exclusively playing Call of Duty or Warzone, I would go for the Scuff Reflex with the instant triggers. You just cannot beat that mouse-like click response. But for everything else, I think the Edge is the better all-rounder controller. It's got a more premium feel, swappable stick modules, a 12-month versus 6-month warranty, adjustable triggers, and a huge range of on-screen settings. This controller will be suitable for every and any game, plus it's technically cheaper than the Scuff. So yeah, in my opinion, Scuff for FPS games and the Edge is the better all-rounder Pro controller. And if you do decide to go for a Scuff controller for the PS5, I do have a discount code and link below. Now drop a PS5 Pro in the comments and I'll give you a thumbs up for staying right till the end. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my full review on the DualSense Edge video next. And I also wanted to say a massive thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. So Squarespace allows you...
Hopefully, he's not one of those people who don't like people checking out their videos or reacting to their videos. So hopefully this doesn't get striked. But if it does get striked, yeah, got 250 to spend, whichever you buy. Probably DualSense Edge controller because it's more useful to games like Rocket League, really. Oh, by the way, Spawn Point, do you play? Oh, I have DualSense Edge, and it's also my personally. I'm gonna hold off to see if they do a DualSense Edge version 2 because I feel like there's gonna be a few minor tweaks can improve. The need to use Sony does the Microsoft Web releasing new Pro controllers. Ooh. It's just better deal. Profiles, trigger slots, not bulky, still some charging stand. No need to open up the controller. Then to warranty, utilize warranty. I'm almost likely going to get the Edge. Controller is wild. That being said, it's such a game-changing issue. It is wild, but then you also got to think. My PlayStation comes with a controller. My controller gonna get stick drift. I'm gonna have my controller for a long, or my PlayStation or my console for a long ass time, right? So in that long ass time of, let's say, 6 to 8 years of me having my PlayStation until they make a new console, I'll say 8 to 10 years, right? I'll say 8 to 10 years. I don't know the time difference, but I'll say 8 to 10 years, right? 8 to 10 years of me having my PlayStation, and every 6 months I need to change my controller, or 8 months, or even let's say a year. Let's say a year if you're lucky, but it'll be like 8 months if you're not. Well, if you're really not, it'll be 6. It'll be 6 months. If you're okay, it'll be 8. If you're really lucky, it could be 1. Because I've had a controller last me for a year without getting sick, and I got really lucky. But even if it's a year, for 10 years, that's 60 times 10. That's $600. Well, I buy this controller once, $200, right? That's $200 one time, and then after that, for the last 9 years, it'll only be $20. Because I'm pretty sure it's 2 in a pack. It'll only be $20. So it's 200 plus an extra 180, which is 380 compared to 600. So I'm just saying, it's better to get that than, damn, that's a lot of bots. Then yeah, so I'm gonna get it when I go to the bank and get my car fixed. I'm gonna get that shit. I'm not getting the Scuff. I'm getting that DualSense Edge controller. I know they're gonna probably come out with like new colors and shit in like 2 months or 3 months or whatever, or maybe like 6 months down the road. But I don't want to wait that long, bro. I want, like, my controller right now is damn near almost getting stick drift, bro. Like it'll happen slightly out of nowhere. You, hey, if you want to know if I'm lying or not, come on my stream and you'll find out while I'm playing Rocket League, because it does happen sometimes. But yeah, likes. All right, see you guys later. Hope you have a good day or night, and bye.